So as I tweeted recently, I finished watching episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision, and I thought it was really good episodes. I really enjoyed the Dick Van Dyke Bewitched aspect. I grew up watching Nick at Night, and so I loved seeing these shows that I grew up with being recreated with Marvel characters and seeing them kind of be put in these situations. So it was really fun to see that. And the gif that I put on there was of the character Agnes saying, this is the gas. And I said that this was fun, and it was totally a gas. Now moving on to episode 3 this week, my views have changed just a little bit. But don't worry, we're going to break it down, and I'm going to give my theories of what's possibly going to happen overall, and maybe what's to come in the next episode. What's up guys, welcome to the Mashup. I'm Justin McGill, and today I'm reviewing episode 3 of season 1 of WandaVision. Before that, make sure you hit that like button, because liking these videos lets me know that you love them, and make sure you smash that notification bell so you miss any videos just like this one. Alright, let's get to the review. So to start things off, with every episode there's some type of new sitcom theme, and this week was Brady Bunch. And I don't know about you, but I was a fan of Brady Bunch. As always, it was on Nick at Night, so it was something new that you got to watch. This is more like the 70s. We had like the 50s, 60s with Dick Van Dyke and Bewitched, so now we have the Brady Bunch, which is the 70s. And I thought overall, like especially with the intros, how they get customized and changed every episode based off the sitcom, which I'm really curious. I guess next week will be the 80s and the 90s, so I'm looking forward to that. But with this one, I thought it was a really cute song as far as like, one-on-one or one-in-one. They obviously can't do the complete Brady Bunch theme because there's only 2 characters involved, but overall I thought it was really cute and fun, and I thought it really kind of set the tone for the episode overall. Now in saying that, I will say that I thought that this particular theme was probably not as strong so far. I mean, there's 9 episodes total, we're only on episode 3. So we got 6 more episodes to go, but so far I would say with episode 3, I don't think the sitcom aspect was as strong as episodes 1 and 2. And what I mean by that is, yes, we have a recreation of the set just like the Brady Bunch, but what I guess I mean to say is, in the first and second episode, we have more of that kind of Dick Van Dyke-esque plot and Bewitched plot. So with this episode, I don't really think that we got a lot of the Brady Bunch-ness in the episode to make it feel like it's a recreation of a Brady Bunch episode, which I know is not the goal of the show. I understand that. But I guess what I mean to say is, in the other 2 episodes, they're able to take the WandaVision problems and, convert them over to what would really be like a Dick Van Dyke episode or a Bewitched episode. So in this one, I just don't think that that really translated correctly. I understand in this episode, it's all about Wanda's pregnancy and having the boys being born, but that would not really happen in a Brady Bunch episode. So I think with this one, other than like what kind of happens with the neighbors, it just didn't really seem, it just seemed kind of a mismatch, out of place. Moving on to Wanda's pregnancy, I really liked this whole situation because having recently had a baby, well, she's almost 2 now, but having already gone through this myself, it was kind of cool to see that heroes are just like regular people. Of course they are, and they can have regular problems. So it was kind of cool to see Vision and Wanda deal with her pregnancy and having to go through breathing and Braxton Hicks contractions and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of really like, dang, you have to go through that too. That makes me feel a little bit better. It was just kind of cool to see that play out. Something interesting did happen with all this process though. We find out that every time she has a contraction, basically her powers spike up uncontrollably. So crazy things happen and she doesn't have really control on it. She makes Vision float, pictures spinning on the walls. She brings a stork to life, stuff like that. And it's just kind of weird to think, if something really crazy were to happen, hint, hint, that could push her over the edge, her powers could be uncontrollable, almost, I dare say, like Phoenix level, from the X-Men, and, what are people going to do? Next up is a commercial. So with every episode, the commercials at play have some type of, hidden meaning or theme or Easter egg. And with this one, I'm sure there's videos out there based on this episode that explain it maybe a little bit better or can find Easter eggs that I couldn't point out. But from what I got with this commercial, because there was a tweet recently that said that the commercials are important and you need to keep up with them. So with this one, it's basically a mom who really is having a hard time handling life. And so she goes to a spa and, gets the treatment, and it's Greek themed. And she's basically setting herself up with Hydra soap. And so I thought this one obviously is a nod to the Greek mythology and Greek mythological creature, the Hydra. So I'm hoping that's really all there is to it, because I'm thinking, what Wanda used to like take baths, and that's what makes her think this up. Hopefully nothing that silly. But let me know in the comments below what you think about this particular commercial and maybe what things stuck out to you. All right, let's talk about the boys. So obviously in this episode, Wanda's pregnancy is super accelerated, which is very weird. It reminds me of like Alien or some type of horror movie where, the devil's trying to have her have a baby. That could be it. It could be Mephisto. That's what everybody's thinking. But nonetheless, we have Tommy and Billy who are born. And those are AKA Speed and Wiccan. Those are her sons. Those are Vision and Wanda's sons. And kids throughout the whole comic book series. Now, I will not go into too much detail about the boys because I have not had a lot of experience with them. You know, I know that they have their own individual powers. Speed is pretty much based off his uncle Pietro, which is Quicksilver, and obviously Wiccan takes more after his mom. Wanda having, you know, red powers that represent more of a red tone, and Wiccan having more powers that represent a blue tone. That's as much I know about them. Other than that, they also are members of the Young Avengers. But I will list in the description down below Grace Randolph's video that she recently put out from Beyond the Trailer, where she kind of goes deep dive into Speed and Wiccan and how that can basically set up their place in WandaVision and in the MCU. So make sure you check that out if you want more information about those guys. But other than that, it was kind of cool to see them being born. And we know that maybe as the story goes along in the show, they may accelerate growth in age. It'd be kind of interesting to see that. So maybe they're babies here. And then obviously if we move from decade to decade, they're not going to be like 30, 40 years old by the end of the show. But maybe if they, you know, jump a little bit in age as the show goes on to the very end, as we move from episode to episode, that'll kind of get them ready to be in the Young Avengers age, because we've got all these other movies and shows coming out with members of the Young Avengers already out there. So it kind of makes sense that they could do this. All right, I also want to talk about Agnes and Herb. So in the very beginning of the episode, we have Herb basically heading the center block of his fence while instead of, you know, trimming his hedges. So throughout these episodes, you notice that some of the characters do some weird things in repetition that kind of make it seem very eerie and like something's off and not right. So obviously their neighbor Herb is doing this, and Vision picks up on that. And we notice again later on in the episode that Agnes is now with him, and they are very, very, very much letting him know that, you know, something's up with Monica. She may not be right. She doesn't really belong here. And that's all they really want to say about it. But we kind of get the feel that they know more than they are letting on. And I kind of feel like Agnes herself may be more of like a leader type in this whole scheme of a world that's been set up. So compared to some of the other characters that are there, I think that maybe she has a more important role, which many of us have already thought. And so I think that because of that, she's able to manipulate more of the characters and have them do her bidding, is what I'm going to call it. But other than that, they kind of set the stage for maybe members of the town versus Monica Rambeau. And that makes me think that Agnes and the other characters are probably a part of Hydra or some non-good team. And then we have Monica Rambeau, who's a part of SWORD, who basically is a good team. It's the new S.H.I.E.L.D., but just the galactic version, you know, the whole universe. And that's also with Captain Marvel. So we know that it seems like that's already kind of being set as well. That leads me into Monica Rambeau. So obviously we know that she's Team SWORD. She's obviously wearing a necklace with a little medallion with a sword in it. We see that in the episode, certain things are said between her and Wanda that kind of trigger some memories and kind of makes it seem out of place, like, oh man, I'm kind of remembering who I am and what am I doing here? What's going on? But it happens in a way that makes it seem kind of weird and threatening to Wanda and her sons. I mean, obviously she just had these boys, so her motherly instincts are like on high. And so she's like, hey, what are we talking about? How do you know about that? Who are you? Why can't you explain yourself? Okay, you seem like a threat. All that going on. And then on the outside, we have Vision talking to Agnes and Herb, who at the same time are saying, hey, Monica, you probably shouldn't trust her because she doesn't have a home. She doesn't belong here, et cetera, et cetera. So I feel like all that happening at the same time is basically setting the stage of the neighborhood is taking care of Wanda and Vision, kind of making sure they're staying at the same team. And then we have Monica and maybe somebody else we haven't seen yet are on the outskirts. So it's going to already set up good versus evil. One thing I will say is I noticed that Monica was able to help give birth to the boys. I'm thinking, where did she learn how to do that? Because I think she takes up after her mom and is like more of like a police officer or some type of law enforcement or something like that. But I was just thinking like, dang, you know how to birth a baby? Maybe Wanda taught her how to do that. I'm not sure, but I thought that was kind of crazy. So in saying all that, here is a theory that I have and just kind of discussing what I think is overall happening and possibly could lead into the other episodes. So I think that obviously somebody wants Wanda's boys. It's been teased throughout the other episodes, even in this one, that someone wants Wanda to have kids. And so there she goes, has her boys. And we don't know who exactly is the one pulling the strings for that. Is it Hydra? Is it Agnes? I'm assuming is a part of Hydra, but maybe she's not. Maybe she's with Mephisto, who we think could be in the series. Or is it somebody else? Or could it be somebody like SWORD? Maybe they want to have the kids. You know, we don't know yet, but someone is pushing to have the kids. She's had the kids, so obviously somebody wants the boys and wants to do something with them. And I think given the way the episode ended with Monica being pushed out of this world by Wanda, who obviously sees her as a threat at the moment, and then Monica being surrounded by this group who is controlling the situation, which would obviously mean that's not SWORD, it has to be Hydra or some other group, that would tell me that possibly they want Wanda as well, and maybe are trying to control her and having the characters within this world with her to help make sure that she stays in line. There's a lot left, obviously we haven't seen yet, but in some of the stuff I've seen, I remember seeing the trailer, like when Agnes talks to Vision and lets him know that he's dead. I mean, there's a lot more that she's going to be able to lose, Vision included and the boys, that would make it hard for her not to trust Agnes and some of the neighbors, as for now. I do also think that maybe because of all this, that obviously Monica may be trying to save the boys. So obviously she sees that they're important to Wanda. However, they were created either by Wanda herself or through a third party that helped Wanda create them. So maybe she's trying to help through this whole process that we're going to see throughout the other episodes, that SWORD is actually trying to infiltrate this world and try to help maybe save all of them. Wanda, Vision, who we don't know how he's created or back, but is basically just trying to save all of them. And maybe they save the boys and not the others. And that because of all that, that also would push Wanda to the edge, because she already thinks that Monica is bad. And with Agnes and other people saying, yeah, she is bad, you need to watch out for her, that she's not able to comprehend that, hey, I'm just trying to help you out. We're friends outside of this world. And that helps, cause the effects we're going to see in Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and any other, Disney Plus show or any other MCU movie that comes about, maybe an Ant-Man that has to deal with this kind of multiverse rift in time and space, to where one is out to seek her boys and maybe the good Marvel characters are trying to keep them away from her and save them at the same time, but also try to save Wanda. So there's all these moving pieces happening behind the scenes and are going to lead into other characters throughout the MCU. So it's going to be interesting to think, when we actually find out who's in charge, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, this is going to be crazy awesome. So I'm really looking forward. And hopefully in the next episodes, we get, I'd have to say less of the sitcom aspect and more of the little tidbits leading up to the MCU part, because I feel like the more and more we do this kind of sitcom-y stuff, I did see an article recently talking about how they don't know if they're going to have a WandaVision season 2. I don't know how they can really do that unless it's going to happen after all of this. Maybe we should find us get a happy ending. I don't know. But I think season 1's probably enough just to kind of lead up into the MCU and have her big old story arc over and over and over, and then be done. But overall, it's been kind of neat to see how in the next couple episodes, how we get less and less of sitcom, more and more MCU, and then finally the big bad thing that happens that punches a hole through everything and leads us right into it. So overall, do I like the episode? Yes. Do I think it's as good as the other episodes? No. And with that, I'm going to rate this episode 3.5 out of 5 WandaVision symbols. And I think that hopefully the next episode, even despite what era we're in, the 80s, I think as long as maybe the story isn't so accelerated like this one seemed like because of her pregnancy, and that we get more tidbits to go off of, like a little bit more things happen, that might make it better, even if it's more sitcom-y, but I would prefer to be more weighted out this time, more 50-50 as we go along, so we get more of, hey, what's going on? Because we only got 6 episodes left, so, they're going to have to make it pretty, with half-hour episodes, we need to find out really good, hey, what's going on, and how that's going to lead us up into the MCU. Let me know in the comments what you think if you've seen episode 3 of WandaVision. What are your theories, and do you agree with mine? In the comments below. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed, hit that like button. For more videos like this one, make sure you smash that notification bell. And I'll see you guys next time on the Mashup.